Let's talk about Ava DuVernay. I mean, this is her third feature film. You know, I Will Follow, Middle of Nowhere, and now Selma. I mean, tell me what makes Ava DuVernay such a great writer, director, especially because of the subject matter she's taken on. Like
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't seen the film yet, but from the screenplay, he was a human being and not some mythic character, and that's a good starting point. So the choice of approach is already, you know that there's a smart person involved at the get-go, from the get-go, and then she's not. I mean, I thought we'd have to be very careful with the script when I went out to shoot, and she's not. She'll just change that, move that, get rid of that, add some here. She's very flexible. Once you've got your character up and running, it'll lead you where it will lead you. She's very good with actors. She's just kind of a natural, really. Very easy. It's very easy. For me, she was a cheerleader. She just would be, you'd hear yes from the back of the room when I made some racist comment.
Oh, that's so Now, the characters themselves, Wallace and LBJ, and of course Martin Luther King Jr. These are all larger than life characters.
Yeah.
And what I think, among other things, the film succeeds in doing is humanizing these characters. So tell me about the challenge of humanizing a character like Wallace.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was always one of the great American bad guys. He's kind of an evil. He's like out of a Superman movie or something. But when I was a kid, when I was growing up, he was very much spoken about in my house. My father was American, and he was a very political man. He'd been through the war, and he'd seen some terrible things. And what was happening in the South was, in his mind, the same. My father would take us on demonstrations, and the things that we would be demonstrating against were racism in England and the emergence of the far right as a force in politics in Britain, and same kind of things as they're demonstrating against now, in a way, the police over-policing sensitive areas and so on. So Wallace, I knew him as that when I was a kid. Knew him as this really bad guy. He was like the apartheid guy of America, And then I started to look into him, started to read about him, and he was all of those things.
Right. Yeah.
But how do you get that up and walking around in a room again? It's very strange, and that's where the director comes in and just it's a very hard thing. It's a stupid thing observation to make about acting, but it's actually very accurate, is just trying to have a conversation. Just try and have the conversation.
Yeah.
You'll find yourself sliding right in there.
Right.
And getting the character in. And you got to, for me, it tends to be, you got to get up and running first. You just have to make all the mistakes first, and then he'll find him. So the research was very easy, especially with the internet. But having him move around a room was the trick. Once you got him moving, it was fine.
And David's performance as King is sensational.
Yeah.
Like really, really magnificent.
Yeah.
But I mean, you didn't really have a whole...
I haven't got anything with him.
Yeah.
I did, I missed the boat. I did, my first day of filming, they had me down doing a speech, and he came down to the set just to watch the speech.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And he wasn't in character, particularly, but he kind of was, because he was quite shocking. I was like, oh, yeah. That's working for you, and he just had that kind of the move down. It was all being held in check because he wasn't working until later in the day. But you could see it was, King was in the building.
How can Selma make people enlightened to be like, no, we still do have a long way to go? Is that something you hope it can do?
Yeah, it becomes part of the conversation, and hopefully in a positive way. But you can't. It's truly the only people that I've ever heard say, "Oh, well, racism is over in this country," were white people, and generally they were politicians who are out for to line their own pockets. So I don't think the fact that you have a black man in the White House doesn't necessarily mean that the conversation comes to a stop.
Right. Exactly.
So here we are, and Congress had a really good day yesterday. Brilliant, well done, lads. And the conversation has to just keep going.
Right.
But Selma, the film can become instructive and useful, I think. let's hope it does.